Okay, I recording this video well after the close, Thursday the 18th of June 2015. So, I do hope your trading is going well. Apologies, there's not been all that much activity on the website for a couple of weeks, but there's a couple of reasons for that. First of all, last week we had rollover, and then this week we had FOMC, and I tend to kind of back off my trading a little bit during those times. Secondly, we're going away tomorrow for about 10 days to the Maldives on a fabulous surf trip on a boat, and I've kind of been doing a little bit of training in order to kind of get in shape for that. So looking forward to it. Been to the Maldives a couple of times before. It's the most beautiful place on earth, and I love living on boats. So going to be a little bit out of commission for about 10 days. Supposedly this time around there could be some email and Wi-Fi kind of connections on the boat, but wait and see. Last time I was there we could do SMSs and that was about it. Anyway, so in the meantime, I'm going to talk a little bit about the markets, going to talk about currencies a little bit, but just to say there's a new post on the site, new kind of feature article on the site, and you can find it under the Emini trading link here on the website. And what you used to find when you went to this link, it used to say, I think it was called guides, and it used to be kind of the best of Emini-Watch, and there was just a whole heap of different guides, how-to guides, kind of pulling out some of the kind of key components of the methodology. And I decided to rewrite it in a little bit of a different kind of vein. Kind of 12-step process, the methodology, and what you'll find is I think the best kind of videos and articles of the site are now linked to with this kind of format, and I've called it a manifesto to kind of get you all going. So there we go. If you're interested in looking at that while I'm kind of away, there's plenty of material there. Just click on any of those links on each of those topics, and it'll take you to what I think is kind of some of the better kind of content on the Emini-Watch about those topics. So there we go, and you can find that under Emini Trading link at the top of the site. Let us just talk about the Emini and what has happened over the last couple of days. So here's the 40,500 tip bar chart, and last time I put a video up I was pretty bearish about the Emini because we'd broken through this important support on the 40,500 tip bar chart, and we kept on trying to break down into the 60s, kind of down here, bang. And then we had a rally back up, freaked everybody out, and of course all these blue professional bars kind of came in at that high, which meant that the professionals were using that activity to get short, and we went back down again and tested into that 60 kind of level from which we bounced. And then with the FOMC activity that we had a whole bunch of kind of backwards and forwards on FOMC day, which ended up with a breakaway move with today's activity into a trend move on the 40,500 tip bar chart. So that's about as much as we're going to get it for the time being. This has got to complete on the upside now. We've got to go pull back end of trend on the 40,500 tip bar chart. Each time we came into these lows, I'm going to back it down one time frame for the 40,500 to the 13,500. You can see each time we kind of backed into that those 60s, we had pullback to end of trend here, pullback to end of trend, exhaustion patterns, nice little bullish divergence and flush kind of down here, and then we kind of raced away. But there was never a really kind of capitulation volume type thing. There would seem to be, the trigger number down here was 63 or something like that. We hit it, almost to the button within a point each time we kind of came into it, here and here and here and here, and just never gave way into real kind of capitulation volume, real kind of a proper downtrend on the way down. And so all we're doing is testing back up, and we've got to go into all kinds of pullback to end of trend moves on this time frame, on the 40,500 tip bar time frame, until this is all over. So for the time being, that's all she wrote on the downside, so got to go with the flow. Yesterday's activity, so Thursday's activity, we had a real kind of breakaway day. First of all, let me just show you on the 44,500 tip bar chart. This was the overnight activity. This was the open on Thursday. And you can get this vertical timeline indicator is free on the website. I use it to mark the open and close, the close and the open. There's also a third line that you can put in, and I put it for the 11 a.m. because I say that's the window for a reversal. And I want to just show you on the 4,500 tip bar chart, you know, by 11 a.m. in the morning we had not reversed. We had a whole bunch of exhaustion patterns, a whole bunch of blue professional bars at the highs, and Rambo right at the top of the day, kind of up here, but we did not reverse by then. And so all we're going to do is just play around those highs, kind of bust new highs a little bit, and on the 4,500 tip bar chart we played out a pullback to end of trend move here. So it's kind of exhausted on this time frame, but just to say, you know, this was one of those days where the 2100 number was really critical. We broke into an uptrend right at the get-go. At the very first thing in the morning we had a triple break above here, and if you are watching it, so let me just show you that. Here's resistance on the 4,500 tip bar chart. That's one break. Back it down to the 1500 tip bar chart. Here's the open again. There's that 11 a.m. window, and there's a break above resistance here. Back it down to the 500 tip bar chart. There's the open, and there's a break above resistance. So that's what I call a triple. As soon as we've broken a triple, that means we've got to at least go pull back to end of trend on the 1500 tip bar chart, and this one played out all the way to the 4500 tip bar chart. And then when this break happened, my God, this thing just took off like a rocket, and it was because it was all around the 2100 number. There were all these stops just sitting there, and when they got hit, this thing just, I mean, it took seconds to get through here. It's unbelievable. Anyway, so I was too slow. You know, on this down bar here, that would have been the go to get into that move. But that's okay, because we know it's a triple break. We know it's got some strength. It's going to travel for a while. So as soon as we came back into this pullback here, blue professional bar steps in on that retrace, bang, and that's when I jumped in. So at 2101, and had to sit through a little bit of backwards and forwards here until it worked itself out to the target 2105, just up here. And it's interesting, so we went pull back to end of trend here with Rambo patterns, but this thing was not over, because on the 1500 tip bar chart we still had to go at least pull back to end of trend. And so that we settled into a nice little support area there. As soon as we had this support marrying up with that 1500 tip bar chart together, that's when this thing really took off to the upside very nicely for a one shot, one kill. So I would have loved this thing to kind of roll around by 11 a.m., have a reversal day and kind of go the other way, but that is not what it decided to do. We just kept on breaking up and up and up. Had all these blue professional bars and exhaustion patterns into that high, and then we've kind of ended up pretty strong. So there we go. I mean, we're in an uptrend. We're above this 2100 number now. Let's see where it goes. The 40,500 tip bar chart. This thing looks like it's got to complete because we've broken above this. So by complete, I mean go pull back to end of trend and see this thing kind of properly finish off. So that's it on the E-mini side. Now, on the other side of things is the currencies, and the pound. I'm going to show you a whole bunch, well, four charts, yeah. I'm going to show you four charts, and the common theme in these four charts is resistance coming in on the weekly time frame. First of all, the British pound. This has been my favorite. The British pound kind of bottomed out, pulled back to dirty end of trend. We had this big, wide blue professional bar, and as soon as we broke above the highs of that, after this fake out move to the bottom of that, bang, we were in an uptrend. So I was pretty early telling you to watch out for a change of trend in the British pound, and started to kind of break to the upside. But the last time I put out a video, British pound, I said I was still bullish on the British pound, and we had like it was almost like a 10-day retrace in the British pound until we settled in to a nice little support area here, and then from there we've had a nice little bounce back up to through this, you know, kind of pivot high that we had before with exhaustion patterns and a blue professional bar. And what I think is going to happen on the currencies is we've got to test back in to the lows, because weekly resistance has come in on all of these, or is about to come in on all of these currencies. It's printed already a little bit early here on the weekly chart in the British pound. So on this retrace here, we've come back up to where we broke down, the breakdown kind of level up here in the kind of high fives, high 150s, kind of up here, up towards 160. At this point, this cyclical energy still has to work itself out on the weekly time frame. We've still got to go pull back to dirty end of trend on a whole bunch of kind of forex charts. And so this looks like, you know, a breakout to new highs for a while. People are getting very excited, you know, about the pound kind of going up here, but just watch out. You know, we could put in a bearish divergence pattern here, or it might be a flush kind of going on here. We've got cyclical resistance to come in on the daily chart, and as soon as we got that kind of marrying up with some cyclical resistance on the weekly chart, we could go back in and test back down into these lows on the British pound. And so the same type of pattern, this weekly resistance coming in on these currencies, is happening, for example, on the euro as well. So the euro, we bottomed out, we pulled back to end of trend. We had this kind of spike up, resistance is coming on the daily chart here, and we're coming up to weekly resistance. We've still got a little bit of time to run here before this kind of test back down. So I'm not getting too excited about the currencies kind of continuing to break much higher, because at some point we're going to be stopped by that weekly resistance kind of coming in here. Interestingly, on crude, it's a similar type pattern. So crude, we had a nice, when we broke back down through 50s here, I don't know if you remember all of the news articles. Everybody's saying, oh, this thing's, crude's going to go to $20, it's going to go to $15, $16. And of course, it was a Rambo pattern down here with exhaustion sell. That's unstable. That's all the amateurs getting wrong-footed here. We've had a nice little rally all the way back up to kind of 65s. But again, at some point, weekly resistance is going to come in on this time frame and push us back down into pullback end of trend and test back down into those lows. So just like the euro chart, just like the pound chart here, that cyclical energy has got to work itself out in order to get us a proper test back down into those lows. And of course, it's going to be the flip side with the dollar index, because those currencies are heading down, the dollar index head up. And so you can see here on the weekly chart, we've got a little bit of time to run before support coming in here. Yesterday's activity on the dollar index was really interesting. I mean, the dollar index started off just collapsing during the European session and then got bought all the way back up to kind of play around with that support level there. So at some point, the daily and the weekly supports will timing will come together, and that'll mean that we'll test back up for these highs in the dollar index. So that's on the kind of currency charts what I'm looking at, and they're signaling slightly different times, with the pound and the euro and the crude and so on. But as soon as they all start to kind of come together, they'll start to move in unison. So that's what I'm looking at on those weekly charts. Just kind of bear that in mind, that we'll have a test back down, I think, on the currencies, although it's been a really nice strong move, and the pound has been the strongest of the lot. Anyway, so there we go. Still possibly available by email over the next kind of 10 days or so, but making no kind of guarantees. I have no idea what the internet connection is going to be like on a boat in the middle of the Indian Ocean in the Maldives. So kind of wait and see on that. Will not be trading. That's kind of too risky a thing to kind of try and do. But I'll be kind of hopefully following my charts and seeing what's going on. So hope your trading is going well. Again, in the meantime, if you want to go check out something on the website to kind of do a little bit of reading or whatever, go check out that Emini trading link in the top navigation. And all the best. Hope your trading is going well. Okay, just got long one even, just checking stops and targets. And we just had the most unbelievable stop run just at the open through 2100. Bang. That was a triple break through resistance on 500, 15, 45. I know we've had exhaustion by a whole bunch of blue professional bars. This is a really important number, but we got to go test it. We've got to go play this thing out, pull back end of trend or something. So getting in on the first blue professional bar here. After that, cyclical supports in due, so I'll be pulled back and uptrend go off in a second. There we go. So let's see. Just going to leave my target where it is at 5 even, and just see if we get there on this next one up. It's led by the amateurs, weak, but here we go. So pull back end of trend, see what happens above 3. Oh, we're back where we started. Having gone pull back end of trend, Rambo, amateur, bars, bearish divergence. So that's important. If we're going to put in bearish divergence, still got to put in something like a pullback kind of trend on 15 or whatever. Let's just give it a little bit more. That's about it. It's no blue professional bars there. Well, under a little bit of pressure, a little bit of a gathering of blue professional bars coming in. I know we just clipped underneath support here on 500, but support on 15. Here we go. That's another blue professional bar, and we just immediately go above the highs. That's good. So cyclical support in due on 1500, which would be pullback and uptrend. So having, there we go, these two together give us a little bit of a chance to go test threes and put in pullback to end of trends. That's what I'm going to play. And just let's see where that goes. This is late in the day after exhaustion by bearish divergence. Okay, here we go. We just blasted up now. Previous high and targets at 5 even. It's in sight, but that's what I'm playing. Pullback and a trend. Rainbow pattern here is a break into highs. See if we have another little bit of a stop run. Kind of above here. Go, go, go. Bingo! Just taken out 5. There was just a little bit of a stop run at 5. Excellent for 4. One shot, one kill, 8:48 AM. Good, good, good. So, in on the pullback level, sat through this, and then bang. Finally pullback, end of trend's going to go off on 1500. And maybe a flush pattern, something like that, maybe an exhaustion pattern. Where are we going today? I do not know.